The silence of space is deceptive. To the untrained eye, it is a serene expanse, a cosmic canvas of drifting stars and glowing nebulae. But to those trapped in its cold grip, it is a void of despair, a place where time stretches endlessly and hope can die quietly without a sound. That was the reality for the crew of the Erebus, the flagship of the Volari Defense Armada, as they drifted in the aftermath of the ambush near the Cygnus Expanse. Commander Lasara Niven gripped the edge of the observation deck, her silver eyes reflecting the scattered debris of what had once been a formidable fleet. 3 of her vessels had been obliterated within minutes by an enemy force that moved faster than light itself, the shadowy Traxi. Their ships had no known allegiance, no recognizable language, and their weapons were devastating. Plasma lances capable of cutting through the thickest armor like paper. Lasara's mind raced as she tried to reconcile the sheer speed and ferocity of the attack with the desperate message she had just received from the Volari High Command. Do whatever you can to survive. We're stretched thin. Reinforcements cannot reach you in time. Her ship, the Erebus, had been fortunate or unlucky, depending on perspective. Its hull, though riddled with scorch marks and deep gouges, remained intact. But they had lost communications with most of the other surviving vessels. The Traxi had retreated after their initial strike, leaving a trail of devastation and a lingering threat. The crew's morale was fragile. Despair was a tangible thing, a weight in the corridors of the ship that pressed on every shoulder. Lieutenant Cale Dorr, her second-in-command, entered the observation room silently. He was young, barely 29, but his reputation for composure under fire had earned him a place beside Lasara. His face was pale, tension written in every line. "Commander," Cale said quietly, "we've patched communications with the remnants of Fleet 3. They're scattered. They don't know where the Traxi went, and they're not going to make it." Lasara didn't reply immediately. She continued staring at the void, feeling the cold logic of the stars pressing back at her. "Cale," she said finally, her voice low and deliberate, "how long until the Erebus can jump out of this sector?" Cale checked the display. "Even if we make repairs at double the recommended speed, 3 cycles. Maybe 4. That's if nothing else goes wrong." A heavy silence followed. For cycles in the Cygnus Expanse with the Traxi lurking nearby could very well mean death for the entire crew. Lasara turned to him, determination hardening her features. "Then we buy time. Anything that can slow them down. Drones, decoys, false signals. Everything. If we're going to survive, we need an edge." Cale nodded, and the 2 officers left the observation deck together. Below decks, engineers and technicians scrambled to patch the most critical systems. Sparks flew and alarms blared. Even in this chaos, there was a sense of ritual in the efficiency of the crew, trained hands moving in precise synchronization, keeping their ship alive against odds that no one should have survived. The first sign that things were about to change came as a ripple in the void. Sensors picked up something, a distortion in the space-time continuum ahead of them. At first, everyone assumed it was a Traxi trap, another trick to draw them into an ambush. Lasara's heart pounded as she stared at the readout. "It's too precise to be natural," Cale murmured. "But it doesn't match any known cloaking or FTL signature we've cataloged. Whatever it is, it's massive." The crew braced themselves, fingers poised on weapon consoles. The Erebus had enough firepower to defend itself, but against a massive, unknown enemy, their odds were slim. And then it happened. From the distortion, a ship emerged. Massive, gleaming, and unmistakably human. Its hull shimmered with a technology that seemed to bend light itself, a mix of angles and curves that were both alien and familiar. The emblem on its bow, a a silver phoenix rising from a star, was unmistakable. A murmur rippled through the crew. Humans. Here. In the Cygnus expanse. The warship came to a hovering stop beside the Erebus, and a deep, resonant voice echoed across all communication channels. Volari Fleet, this is the USS Intrepid. Stand down. You are not alone. Lasara felt her knees weaken. She had not expected human intervention. No one did. Humanity had largely withdrawn from interstellar conflicts decades ago, focusing on exploration and trade rather than warfare. But here they were, a fully armed human warship, appearing from nowhere to intervene at precisely the right moment. Commander Niven? A voice came through the channel. We've been tracking Traxi activity in this sector. You're in danger. We can help, but you need to follow our lead. Kale stared at the main display, disbelief and relief battling in his expression. Commander, this changes everything. Lasara exhaled slowly, feeling the tight knot in her chest loosen just a fraction. Prepare the crew. We're not out of this yet, but at least now we have a chance. The human ship moved like a predator, calculating every maneuver with precision and confidence. The Traxi returned, appearing in small skirmishing groups, attempting to isolate the Erebus and its allies. But the humans were faster, stronger, and cunning. Energy beams cut through the void, deflecting plasma lances and tearing apart the enemy formations. The Volari crew watched in awe as the USS Intrepid danced through space, a masterclass in tactics and raw firepower. Lasara and Kale coordinated with the human commander, a tall woman named Admiral Seraphine Voss, whose presence exuded calm authority. Your fleet is scattered, Seraphine said in a briefing on the Erebus. We can't hold the line alone for long, but we can give you a path to safety. We'll lure the Traxi into a trap. Kale frowned. A trap? That sounds dangerous. Seraphine's eyes were unwavering. Every maneuver in war is dangerous. But survival is the only metric that matters here. Trust us. And trust them they did. The human warship led the Traxi on a calculated chase, weaving through asteroid fields and gravity wells, drawing the enemy into narrow corridors where their speed and agility were neutralized. The Erebus and other surviving Volari ships followed, learning from the humans' tactics and regaining confidence with every successful engagement. Days passed, or what felt like days, the void bending the sense of time. Supplies were low, and repairs were ongoing, but the human presence gave the Volari fleet a renewed sense of hope. Lasara walked through the corridors of the Erebus, observing her crew with a mix of pride and humility. Humans, she realized, were more than just legends. They were adaptable, resilient, and utterly relentless when it came to protecting those they deemed allies. During one strategic meeting, Seraphine explained the humans' reasoning. We monitor sectors like this because interstellar stability benefits us all. We cannot afford unchecked predators like the Traxi destabilizing the region. When we detected your fleet, we knew intervention was necessary. But this is not about glory. It's about survival, and about ensuring that life continues, wherever it may be. Lasara felt a deep respect forming. The human warship had changed everything, not just the tactical situation, but the very mindset of her crew. Hope, fragile and trembling, had returned. The final confrontation with the Traxi came near the core of a dying star, a place where gravity warped reality and light bent unnaturally. The Traxi had realized they were being baited and regrouped for a final, desperate assault. Lasara watched from the observation deck as her human allies engaged the enemy, their movements synchronized and deadly. The battle was catastrophic. Plasma lances collided with human deflector shields, Explosions scattered fragments of debris across the void, and energy beams ignited pockets of superheated gas around the star. Lasara coordinated Volari support, deploying decoys, flares, and countermeasures with precision. The Erebus itself took heavy damage, but remained operational, guided by the humans' expert tactics. In a daring maneuver, Seraphine piloted the Intrepid directly into the heart of the Traxi formation, deploying a singularity mine, a weapon capable of collapsing space itself. The Traxi, caught in the gravitational distortion, were annihilated, their ships shredded in the collapsing vortex. Silence returned. For a moment, no one dared speak. Then Lasara exhaled, her shoulders dropping in relief. "It's over," she said softly. Admiral Seraphine responded through the comm, her voice calm but firm. "Not entirely. We've won this battle, but the war is far from over. We'll escort you to a safe sector. Consider this a beginning, not an end." As the fleets navigated away from the dying star, Lasara took a moment to reflect. They had been saved against impossible odds, not just by firepower, but by the sudden appearance of an ally from a species that many considered distant and indifferent. Humanity had reminded them that in the vast, lonely reaches of space, hope could arrive when it was least expected. Kale approached, looking out at the human warship that now accompanied them like a silent guardian. "Commander, do you think we'll see humans again?" Lasara smiled faintly. "I don't know. But I do know this. We learned something crucial today. No matter how isolated we feel, no matter how impossible the odds, help can arrive from the most unexpected places." The Erebus's engines hummed steadily as the fleet followed the USS Intrepid into the void, a symbol of resilience, alliance, and the enduring hope that even in the darkest corners of space, no one need face the unknown alone. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, and for the first time in cycles, Lasara felt that the future, uncertain and vast, was worth surviving for. The battle near the dying star was over, but the aftermath was chaotic. Wreckage floated in the void like shards of broken glass. Survivors from the Volari fleet drifted among the debris, tending to the injured and salvaging what they could. The Erebus itself had sustained significant damage. Its hull was scarred. Life support was operating at partial capacity, and several critical systems were on emergency backup, but it remained intact. Admiral Seraphine's USS Intrepid moved beside the Erebus, scanning the area for survivors. Its massive hull cast long shadows across the debris, a reassuring presence against the void's cold emptiness. Lasara stood on the observation deck, watching the humans work, feeling a mix of awe, gratitude, and exhaustion. "Commander Niven," Seraphine's voice came through the calm and steady, "we've neutralized the Traxi threat in this sector. The remnants of their fleet are retreating into uncharted space. You're safe for now." Lasara allowed herself a moment of relief. "Thank you for everything. I don't know what we would have done without you." "You would have survived," Seraphine said, a faint smile in her tone. "Just not as quickly or as intact. Trust me, sometimes all it takes is a small push in the right direction." Over the next few cycles, the human crew helped Volari engineers repair critical systems on the Erebus and other surviving ships. They shared resources, technology, and tactical knowledge. The Volari, initially hesitant to trust humans again after decades of seeing them as distant explorers, began to see them as allies, warriors who understood the stakes of survival in deep space. During a final debrief, Lasara addressed her crew. "We've been tested in the harshest conditions and we survived. Not because we were stronger or faster or smarter, but because we never gave up. And because we were reminded that help can arrive when least expected, even from the most unlikely places. Remember that, always. Kale Dor approached, his expression reflective. Do you think humanity will return? Lasara looked out into the void, the stars twinkling with cold, indifferent beauty. I don't know, but I do know one thing. Today they chose to stand with us. And sometimes that's enough. Enough to change everything. As the repaired fleet began its journey toward a safe Volari-controlled sector, a final transmission came through the comms, a personal message from Admiral Seraphine to Lasara. Commander Niven, history will remember this battle not for the destruction, but for the choices made. You and your crew showed courage, and together we showed that alliances, even improbable ones, can tip the scales in the universe. Safe travels. And should the need arise, humanity will answer again. Lasara lowered the comm, feeling a warmth she hadn't allowed herself in cycles. She looked at the crew, tired but alive, their spirits slowly rebuilding. Hope, fragile but unbroken, now stretched across the void with them. The Erebus and the remaining Volari ships followed the human warship into safer space, leaving the Cygnus expanse behind. Somewhere in the distance, the Traxi had retreated, and their threat, for now, was neutralized. Lasara's eyes lingered on the glowing silhouette of the USS Intrepid. A single thought ran through her mind. In a universe this vast, no one is ever truly alone. The void stretched ahead, silent, yet filled with promise. The scars of battle remained, but so did the unshakable truth. Survival wasn't just about strength or firepower. It was about trust, courage, and the unexpected allies who could appear from the darkness when all hope seemed lost. And as the Volari fleet disappeared into the starlit horizon, the human warship remained a vigilant guardian, a reminder that even in the farthest reaches of the universe, the light of solidarity could pierce the deepest shadows. The war was not over, but for the first time in cycles, Lasara knew the Volari had a future worth fighting for.